I'm going to be talking about the Miranda v. Arizona case. So this case was started out in 1963 when Ernesto Miranda was arrested and charged with rape, kidnapping of an 18-year-old girl. When Miranda was arrested, he was brought in by the police and was interrogated. While he was being interrogated, he actually confessed to the crime that they brought him in for. But when the police brought him in for the crime and arrested him, they did not properly or didn't really read him his rights or ask him if he wanted a lawyer, and he wasn't said he was able to remain silent or was asked if he would need an attorney, which would mean he wasn't told that he could not self-incriminate himself by confessing. And if the police did tell him that he did have these rights, then he probably most likely would not have confessed to the crime. But the police didn't take the proper procedures that they should have to give Miranda the right information before they interrogated him. Miranda was then, after his confession, brought to court and was charged with the rape and kidnapping and was sentenced to 20 to 30 years in jail. He didn't have a lawyer at that trial. There was just him and the judge and the prosecutor. Sorry for my coughing. While Miranda was in prison, he ended up appealing his case and brought it to the Supreme Court because he didn't think it was fair, and that happened in 1966. To back up a little bit, before he appealed and when he was charged, the prosecutor only was able to charge him. The only evidence the prosecutor had and was only able to use, because they didn't do any other investigation really, was Miranda's confession. So now the case was appealed. Miranda's getting the case appealed to the Supreme Court. Arizona wanted the Supreme Court to keep the same decision that they made with the first trial, that he should be in jail for the 20 to 30 years for the rape and kidnapping of the 18-year-old girl. The Supreme Court heard his case in February, I think it was around the 28th to March 1st of 1966, or I'm pretty sure. And the Supreme Court actually appealed Miranda's initial conviction. They did this because the defense had shown that Miranda's Fifth Amendment rights were violated, and which is also known as the Gideon Rule, which grants defendants the right to counsel, which Miranda wasn't even told that he was able to have a lawyer when he was arrested and interrogated. He didn't have a lawyer at his initial trial, where they charged him with convicted him and was sentenced to 20 to 30 years in jail. But he was given an attorney at the last trial with the Supreme Court. He did have a lawyer. But all the other trials and the sentencing and the interrogation, and Miranda wasn't aware of that at that time. So this is one reason why the Supreme Court appealed the initial conviction. Arizona then argued that Miranda was fully aware of his rights, But they really, at this point, there was no like nothing to back up their decision, to back up their argument. So the Supreme Court did appeal his initial conviction with a 5-4 majority win. It was 5-4. 5 people voted that it should be appealed. His initial conviction should be appealed, and 4 said that it shouldn't. So the judges that were on the majority side were Warren, Black, Douglas, Brennan, and Fortas, I believe. That's how you pronounce it. And their explanation to why that Miranda's initial conviction should be appealed was that Arizona, the police did not follow the proper protocols and procedures that actually make a case safe and like the evidence concrete and they didn't do the proper procedures that they should have. If the police would have informed Miranda of his rights, the right to remain silent against self-incrimination, and the right to have an attorney, then they probably would have. And if he confessed after that, then they could have totally used his confession against him. But they did not. So now they can't charge this man with this crime, even though he even confessed to doing it, even though he's guilty. They can't charge him because they didn't properly read him his rights that they should have. And that, in the end, it's sad that a guilty man gets to walk free, but he wasn't given the proper rights that he was allotted by being an American citizen that he should have. So that falls in the Arizona police's hands and on them because they didn't follow proper protocol and procedure. And if they would have, then this would have been a different outcome. But so that was the Miranda v. Arizona case, and the outcome and the effects of police not using proper protocol and procedures, even though it was in the 1960s, it's still, police just there's some people make mistakes and everybody learns from them, but sometimes it messes up. But that was the Miranda v. Arizona case where Ernesto Miranda ended up not going to jail, and his conviction was appealed by the Supreme Court.